When I was about 10 years old, I was going over to talk to my friend who had a radio repair shop. And that was back when you could take a radio and take it apart and figure out how to repair it on your own without a manual. And there was a second-hand store, antique store, junk store right next door, and they had big plate glass windows. And I was looking in the windows, and there were musical instruments, and there was about 9 or 10. There were musical instruments in there. I was looking at them, and I looked. There was a big old moose head in the store. I went in the store and I went back. Have you ever seen a moose head? My God, those things! I don't know how big the mooses are, but those are huge. This was kind of moth-eaten. And I looked at it, and it had a little party hat on one of the horns. And somebody shot that moose in the middle of a New Year's Eve party. Aww. Not very sporting. So I turned around. And there was one of those old gramophones, you know, the kind that you stop it by lifting the thing up and you put it down and the needles in it. And I looked at that, and it had a record in it that was about a 1/4 inch thick. And I said, what's that? And I like machines, so I started, they had a little crank on it, and I cranked it up until it felt tight. And then there was a little lever on it, and I pushed the lever, and the turntable started moving. And I took the needle. I was 8 years old. I didn't need a manual for this little phonograph thing. I took the needle and set it on the record, and this voice came out, and it was this song. And I have the lyrics for his songs, and you'll see why, because the song was, anyway, the song was Roamin and the Gloamin by Harry Lauder. And he has a Scottish accent you could cut with a bread knife. So I've got the lyrics, and on the bottom in blue, some of the kids have found it. It's on Facebook. You can actually listen to those songs on Facebook. So Harry Lauder, 100 years ago, he was born in 1870, so he's about 30 years ago at the turn of the century. So at the turn of the century, excuse me, he was the highest paid entertainer in the world. He got something like 17,000 British pounds a night plus the expenses. I think it's about $1 million a night today. And I haven't done the conversion. It's a lot of money. And during the First World War, he used to go around and he did tours trying to raise money for the English to buy bullets for the soldiers with. They've had their own war bond drive. And I researched him on Wikipedia, and he was knighted for that bond tour he did gratis. And his entire act consisted of songs that he wrote himself. He wrote all of his own songs. And there was just something about that song. When I heard that when I was 8, I never forgot it. I can't think of that song. Every so often I'd hear somebody that was familiar with that song, and somebody that would be singing it. And just something about the song that cheers you up, you know. I don't know if he's so sincere, you can barely understand the words. But anyway, his son was in the First World War, and his son was killed the night that he was supposed to perform, and he heard about it that afternoon. And he went into his dressing room and he wrote this song, and it's At the End of the Road. And this is a song that got Britain through the Blitz in the Second World War. Winston Churchill used to go and listen to it every night, especially if things were really bad. And the lyrics for this one are on your thing too. 100 years ago, a catalyst for us all.